Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to a special review for the brand new Kiss Alive Super Deluxe Edition box set review of their classic seminal live album. Getting this treatment here, celebrating 50 years since this thing came out. Now, just released on November 21st of 2025. I'm going to do a full review, unboxing, go through this whole thing here, talk about everything that's inside this amazing box set. We'll do it here in just a bit, but before we start, if you're new to my channel, you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things do help support my channel. I greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by turning on notifications, you'll never miss an episode and stay up to date on really cool things like this, where we're talking about the brand new Kiss Alive Super Deluxe Edition box set. And so the band itself formed in 1973. Just 2 short years after that, the band had already released 3 studio albums. Their classic self-titled from 1974, Hotter Than Hell, that came out in 1975. And then that same year, Dressed to Kill, 1975. And so unfortunately at this point, the band had not really broken through. They were kind of on the verge of maybe everything being over before it even really began. And with a last-ditch effort, they decided to release what would become not only one of their defining albums, but also one of the most classic seminal live albums of all live albums released. Alive was released that same year that Dressed to Kill was, 1975, making it 3 albums that the band put out in the same year, which I think is absolutely amazing. And of course, Alive was meant to capture the band in all its glory, which is really where the band excelled in the live setting itself. And back in the 70s, a lot of bands were defined by the live album. The Who, Live at Leeds, 1970. Deep Purple, Made in Japan, 1972. Peter Frampton, Frampton Comes Alive, 1976. Cheap Trick, At Budokan, 1978. UFO, Strangers in the Night, 1979, just to name a few of the classic seminal live albums that came out through the 70s. Of course, Kiss Alive, no exception to that, really moving the bar higher than it had been previous to that for all live albums that came out after it. And along with the new benchmark that the live album set, the band, the story, going for broke, making one last ditch effort to make it big. I think this is the reason that we are still celebrating it 50 years on with the release that we have here now, this Super Deluxe Edition box set. Now, before I get into that, keep in mind that the band only 1 month ago just released the Dressed to Kill Super Deluxe Edition box set. October 16th, this just came out. Remember, same year, 1975, so we're just celebrating this one for 50 years, and now we've got this box set here also celebrating the 50-year mark. So let's dive into the Alive Super Deluxe Edition box set. 5 discs, 4 CDs, 1 Blu-ray. Here's the thing. The hype sticker on here says 120 tracks, featuring 88 tracks that are all remixed by Eddie Kramer. Now, if you count all the tracks on the back of the box, and we'll just flip this over here, let you guys have a quick little view because it's all on the back side. If you count all of that, and the Blu-ray itself, which does both 5.1 surround sound and Dolby Atmos, so you got to count that twice, that's 88 tracks. So I'm not sure where they are getting the 120 track listing from. And if we do just go with those 88 tracks, the Alive album itself, there's 3 versions of it, where they're getting the remaster, we're getting the Dolby, we're getting the 5.1. So you got to subtract those 48 tracks, meaning that there's really only 40 unreleased tracks on this box. Now, I could be looking at this completely wrong, but that is how I'm taking it. So I'm a little surprised by the hype sticker and the promotion behind it claiming 120 tracks. But I digress. We're going to get into what is actually on this thing. And I'm going to go through this thing in much more detail. But first off, I want to pull out the CDs so that as I talk about them, you can see what there is. We'll talk about that content that is lifted. But like the other three, because this being the fourth in the series of box sets, they're lift top style boxes like this. So we're going to put that down aside. Here's that hype sticker that I was talking about. And you can see there that right off the bat, let's see, right at the very top where my finger is, says the 120 tracks on it. Of course, it lists everything else that comes in here with all the memorabilia and that sort of stuff listed down there. Now, a little different to the other couple box sets that we got. Right on top, we've got a litho in here that is of Peter Criss's Drumhead. So I will show you that right away because that was the first thing that we saw. And also we have the Kiss on Tour 1976 tour book in here, which I will thumb through in a little bit as well. And then normally the way that it is, you see the book right off the bat like that. And when we pull the top like this, the book itself comes out. And again, I'm going to go through this in more detail with you guys in a little bit. And underneath it, we get a folder in here. And if you saw the previous Dress to Kill unboxing that I did, of which I'm going to leave a link in the description, then it had that same sort of folder style and appearance and everything. And again, this pulls that right out. So we're going to lift that up and I'll pull that out. And I'm going to go through this in much more detail again, but you can see there's a whole bunch of goodies in there that we're going to take a look at. And one last thing that's in here before we get to the CDs, there's this black, I'm going to see if I can get the embossed Kiss logo to read. Not really, but when we pull this, it lifts that part up. There's even more memorabilia stuff in here, so I will be going through that. And then the Kiss CDs, I want to pop them back in place because they actually had all slid out, appear down in the bottom like this. All right, so I'm going to sit this down here and I'm going to pull these out and we'll go through what all of this is with these discs now that is the musical aspect of this box. So, all right, CD1. All right. As you'd pretty much expect, is the remastered album, 16 tracks in all on this. What's different about this, though, than any other time that this has been released is that it's the first time that the double album is being released as a single. This is just one CD in here. So all of the tracks, all 16, appear on here. But what's kind of cool is that they're still broken up into the 4 sides of the original double album, and they still fade in and out like they did. So you still get that same feel, but it's all on one disc. We don't have to change out the disc. And personally, I like that. I never really understood why it was on 2 CDs when it all fit on one. So that's the way this is here. And I thought that was kind of a cool thing to do for this box set. All right. Now, CD2 that's in here is the Davenport, Iowa second show that they did on July 20th, 1975. There are 14 tracks included on this one here. I like these alternate shots of the band live. Really great sounding show, this one in particular. More organic than the final version of the album that, of course, we know had some studio repair and trickery and that kind of stuff to it. Definitely sounds more relaxed in my opinion. It's my favorite of the 2 live shows that are included in this box set. When I say 2 live, I mean 2 unreleased live, because obviously there is a live and then we get 2 unreleased live shows in their entirety. So this one here, very, very good. Davenport, Iowa, second show. The first show of the Davenport, Iowa performance was included here in the Kiss Dress to Kill box. So there's 2 live shows in here that also were used as part of the Kiss Alive album creation, the other two shows in this box set that we're talking about now. All right, CD3 is the Wildwood, New Jersey, July 23rd, 1975. 15 tracks included on this one. So both of these are single disc live shows, whereas in the Dress to Kill, there was a double album live show in there. This one here, audience sounds more like a club show for some reason, meaning they're just a little more prominent, and it doesn't sound like there's as many people. When I'm hearing the audience, I'm hearing more individuals as opposed to the holistic nature of a crowd. So it gives it a different feel. The intro on it is also very different. It is not the classic, you wanted the best, you got the best. So it's a very unique intro. Maybe that had not really come on as a dominant thing yet for the band, but I noticed that right off the bat in terms of this. The performances, or the sound of it, I should say, is still very good, but it's much more raw sounding than the Davenport show that's in this box set. So of the two, I definitely like the Davenport show better than the Wildwood, New Jersey show, but still both of them have their positives and fun or reason why they're included in here. And then we have CD4 that's in here. This one has 5 rehearsals on it and 6 live additional tracks for a total of 11 tracks on here. The rehearsals on here have one song that is called a Kiss Jam, which is a slow bluesy song that really sounds nothing like Kiss, but it's on here. Kind of cool. I guess you were just jamming out, warming up kind of a thing. There's some talking in between the tracks, which is cool. Gives you a little bit of a fly on the wall type feeling to it. Since there's no audience when they were rehearsing, it's almost like kind of a cool, more powerful studio version of the tracks that they jammed on in this, because they weren't able to really recreate those kind of sounds in the studio. So this has a much more powerful feel to it. And then there's actually the song Strange Ways from Hotter Than Hell performed, which didn't make the final Alive album. It's also not part of any of the other shows that they did. So you're getting a bonus version of that live track in here, and it's a real standout performance at that. Of the live tracks that are on here, there's 6 additional live songs. There's almost no audience sound in terms that it's there. You can hear it in between the tracks, but otherwise not really, making it almost kind of like rehearsals as well. So the performances that are on this disc have a much different feel than the actual live shows that were included, making that disc kind of the cool part of this, in my opinion. All right, and then we've got the Blu-ray performance that has the Dolby Atmos and 5.1 surround sound mixes. So 32 tracks, because you're doubling up on those. Now, what's interesting is that while on the back side here, it lists the track Rock Bottom, which you would expect. If I can grab the box. Over here, it leaves off and it does not state Rock Bottom, but of course we know Rock Bottom being part of the album itself. So there's a mistake on the back side of the box. It doesn't list Rock Bottom. You think there might only be 15, but in fact there were 16 tracks on the original Alive album. And fortunately, it is listed on the back side of the Blu-ray. So of course you know that it's included, and I pretty much assumed it was included on there anyway. So that's the contents of the box, and everything sounds great. And certainly the Alive album just sounds really powerful with its new remastering and everything. But all in all, very cool. Now, as part of this, and if you didn't already know, not only the Dress to Kill box set that I previously held up, but this new Kiss box set is website exclusive, at least for right now. That is the only way to get it. You got to head over to the band's website. And then as part of the purchasing, again, like with the Dress to Kill, that came with a shirt. The only way to get it, you can't not buy it with the shirt. So the shirt adds like a $42 price to it, because they actually ring you up for the box set and the shirt separately. or at least tally it, I should say, separately. It's one price in the end of the day. So like with the Dress to Kill box, the Alive comes with a shirt that is unique to it. And it does get this little thing here at the bottom, making it an official, Kiss merchandise shirt, something you're not going to get if you're buying these shirts in stores, making it a little extra cool. So hopefully a unique shirt that you can't get anywhere else. And then there you go with the track listing and everything on the back side of the shirt. But cool shirt nonetheless. I didn't really need the shirt. I would have been happier getting it without that and getting the box for $40 less. But, Kiss, they know how to market. So let's start going through the content because there is a lot of stuff in here. And let's go through it with kind of the way that it came out. So I already showed you this, but I'll just hold it up once more to show you this litho. And it is raised. You can see it kind of there on the back side, hopefully. But that litho being part of things. And as I mentioned, tour book included. This is always one of my favorite things, especially when a box set has something to do with live material. I always enjoy getting a replica of the tour book, especially for something like this with Kiss, for such a seminal live album, the way that it is. What did that tour book look like on the original tour that made this thing up? So I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but there's some cool images to give you an idea of what that is like. All right, the next thing that came out being the book itself. And I believe this is a 100-page book. And we got lots and lots of great stuff in this thing, just like the other ones. There's a lot of great material to read and get into. There's new interviews in here with Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. A lot of great photos. New insights on all of this. And of course, there's a lot of press and other things that are in here, just making for a really cool package. But just flip through a few more pages of this because there are so many great photos inside this book that it just is one of those things that, put a big smile on my face seeing all this cool stuff. And so really between this box and the Dress to Kill, you kind of got to have them both because they tell that whole picture of what was going on that year. But this book, really, really cool stuff that's in there. All right, so the next thing we get is this folder, which as we open it up, has a lot of cool stuff in it. So let me put this down and start pulling out what's inside here. All right, so we get some replica Kiss tickets and ticket stubs that I think are a little oversized. I don't think the tickets were ever this large, but don't really know. We get backstage passes. We get the Cabo Arena backstage pass. Some replica guitar picks for all four of the members of the band. Let's see, we get some coasters with the faces of the guys and the Casablanca logo. Gotta peel into that, so I'll probably not open that. I like to keep these things as original. You get some, I don't know if this is like a window film type thing because it's clear like that, but you've got that's in here. We've got replica concert posters. And then there are some cool images, photos of the band in here, glossy shots of these guys. Yeah, that's a great one, actually. All right, and then on the other side, there's still a few more things here, some bigger posters. Let's pull that out. There's the Wildwood Convention Center, right? I like that because it's the poster from the actual event of the show that we've got. That makes it even cooler if you ask me. That was a glossy one. This one here, glossy on the front. This is a replica of the fan-made banner that's on the back side of it. So that's kind of a cool thing. All right, and then there's this promotional thing that's also included in here. Pop that back in and get this out of the way. And we'll pull up the rest of that. Okay. And then there's this, and I have not opened this yet. So this is the first time I'm getting into this with you guys here. Let's see what we got. We lift this stuff off like this. All right, so first thing up, a couple cool stickers. Kiss is alive, 2 of these. Guess if you wanted to use one, you'd still have one for your box set, which is nice. Well, this is very cool. Lenticular, look at that. I think you guys, hopefully you guys can even see the 3-dimension in the video on this, because this really pops strong on here. Might even be worth framing that. There's a mobile that's included that I'm half tempted to open and put together and hang, just because it'd be so cool having that hang. But at the same time, I like keeping all my stuff together in the box. We've got what I assume is like a hand-typed press kit sort of a thing. That's the way these used to come, where they, you know, when you were getting something and you know, going to talk about the band, interview the band, or write a review of the band. These were the things that came with it. Back pre-internet, of course, they had to do stuff like that. We have the Gotham Rock City News, something that's been coming inside the box sets. So all kinds of information and cool stuff that's about Kiss on there. And then I'm realizing now there's been a couple duplicates inside my box. I don't think that's been intentional. So there was 2 of these, and there's 2 of the stickers. So interesting that that has happened in here. I'm gonna have to double check and make sure that go read everything on the hype sticker and make sure I actually got everything and something didn't get left out because they duplicated some other stuff. But we had a couple more really cool glossy photos of these guys, very high quality stuff. These are great. In particular, like that one, a lot of Ace, may you rest in peace. And this one may be my favorite. So a lot of cool stuff in this box set. That's all the little goodies and things like that that are included in here. In particular, I happen to really like that tour book. That was kind of my big thing that I was really excited about having included in the box, along with all the material. But bottom line, so 2 deluxe edition box sets in 1 month is pretty cool. Getting the Dress to Kill back on October 16th, and then a month later on November 21st, we're getting the second one here. This is almost kind of like back in the day where Kiss was putting out 2, even 3 albums a year. I don't know if that's the intent for this, to give us that sort of feel or not, but I thought that was a pretty cool thing. I'm glad the classic live album of Alive is being celebrated the same way the Dress to Kill is. When they first put that out, we didn't know that the Alive box set was happening, so I'm glad that it also got celebrated 2025 for its 50th anniversary the same way. Really great content in these things. If you know any of the past box sets and you've just seen what I've done here, then you understand what this is all about. Of course, there's great sound on everything. You don't have to worry about that. My only complaint is that the 4 live shows that were used to create the Alive album are not all together in one box. I really would have preferred that. They split it up between these 2 box sets, so the Dress to Kill gets 2 shows and the Alive gets 2 shows. And I feel like all of the Alive content really should have been in one box. I prefer when all of everything, when of an era in particular, is put together, it's cohesive, it's not broken up. Though, had they done that, it would have been 8 discs in one box set, and these are 5 discs and they're $300 box sets. So obviously you could imagine what the price would have been had they done that. Maybe even would have needed to have more memorabilia to have covered everything. So perhaps they're doing us a favor, breaking it down like this, keeping it to the 5 discs and making it a little more cost effective. I think they're just breaking it down to get twice the bang for themselves in terms of selling 2 box sets to us instead of 1. I also get that. I'm not, totally upset about that aspect. I do love having these two. And much in the same way when I described the Dress to Kill box set, saying that I thought it was an integral part to understanding the Alive era, because that album and that tour is the one that was for the Alive tour that makes the album itself. I do think that you need both of these. So I think if you look at both box sets together, telling the complete story, it will be what you want it to be. And therefore, of course, I do recommend the Alive box set, hands down. But I think that you've also got to get the Dress to Kill, have both of those together. Those two box sets really tell the holistic picture and make for an amazing understanding of what was going on in 1975 that led up to the classic seminal Alive album. And there you go. That is my review of the Kiss Alive Super Deluxe Edition box set. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Certainly weigh in if you picked up this box set. But if not, what's your thoughts on the band releasing two Super Deluxe Edition box sets 1 month apart? How crazy is that? I mean, for a lot of people, that might be more money than they can afford to spend in 1 month's time, because each of these boxes was just over $300. So it got me to shell out $600 to Kiss for this. I hope it makes them lots of money. I'm still happy. It is a bit pricey. I'd love to see these boxes no more than $200 a piece, but it is what it is. That's the nature of things today. I do think that they filled it full of great stuff that makes it worthwhile. And I'm always about the musical aspect of it, and the music in both of these is fantastic. So again, I do recommend it. All right, everyone, take care. Have a good one. Rock on, and certainly enjoy your Kiss. Bye-bye.